Okay, we're into the 6th lesson on Avocet, and this is what you might call the chordal section. It actually completes the abridged version you can find on video. So he goes straight from this section, which is mostly strumming, back into the opening theme, the part that I talked about in lessons 1 to 4, and he finishes with, I think, a shortened version of that. In other versions, he still used this chordal section with strumming and actually some arpeggiation of the chords, which is one of the reasons I want to talk a bit more about this section, because there's a couple of interesting chord shapes that he uses. Of course, the strumming, you might think, and a lot of Bert Jansch fans seem amazed that he ever strummed a guitar at all anyway, but this is quite a tour de force of technique in the right hand and also in the left hand, actually. And I'm going to insert a little excerpt from the video of him playing this basic rhythmic pattern. It's designed as an accompaniment to the violin, of course, so in a sense it doesn't make a lot of sense without the violin solo on top. But like I say, there's still some interesting aspects in terms of his use of chord shapes and his left hand technique as well as his right hand technique, which I think are worth looking at. So here we go. Here is a little section of the strumming part of the Avocet video, slowed to 50%, slowed to half, so you can get a better view of what both hands are doing. So here you go, and I'll come back after this. Right, so how that breaks down is, the first chord, of course, is just a plain D, or a D power chord, which is, you know, with the index finger on the A. So we've got all Ds and As there, and it's in 3/4 time. So the first beat is, and he's using his thumb to his thumb pick to strum here, as you saw. Sometimes when he strummed, in other tunes he'd just use his fingers like this, but here he is using the thumb pick, mostly on downstroke, but occasionally it catches strings on their way back up as well, and he is bringing his fingers in now and then for some extra stuff, but mainly it's the thumb pick. So we've got, and I'm wearing a thumb pick especially in honour to try and get the same kind of sound. I don't normally use this at all. So we've got, and then there's a muted hit by probably resting the palm here, or just hitting the string like that. And the next part is the slightly tricky one, where this is beat 3. There's a hammer on with the index finger, and then the third finger onto fret 5. Now it looks like he's going for all 6 strings, but you really only hear the bottom 3 or so, and that's all you really need for that. So in terms of timing, it's 1 and 2 and a 3 and 1. And that hammer on and pull off is all just on one strum. And I think there's sometimes you can't catch your strings on the way back up here. You know, it's obviously a little bit random, because it's quite aggressive, it's quite strong, very kind of positive attack here, as you might expect, of course. So there's a sequence behind the violin melody, which is 5 bars. The first part is the riff again, and then from there it slides up to 7. Okay, 2 beats there. The first beat is actually 1 and, so it's not a straight up to 7, it's a 1 and 2, like that. beat 3 is this very quick hammer on pull off, 5 to 7, 5 and off. Okay, and then into the F chord. One of his favourite shapes, or a very useful shape that he does use in a couple of other songs, a bar here on the 3rd fret. Okay, and then we've got little finger on 7th fret for the A, 3rd of the chord, middle finger on the 5th fret of the 3rd string, and then the top 2 strings on 3rd fret as well. These top 2 are not essential, but I think he does have a full bar here. The distinctive thing about this particular chord shape is it's an open voicing. You've got root, 3rd, 5th. Alright, so there's a 5th, open 5th between these two, and then a 6th between those two. And that seems to be why he chose this kind of shape. It gives a nice kind of open ringing sound in the bass, rather than having what's called a close voicing, which most guitar chords are. And then he's got an extra note on top here, so it's a bit of a, that's just a 3rd there, that's a small close voicing. And of course a unison there, and lastly a 4th on top. So it's a nice kind of combination of intervals. Right, so let's get back now from there back to the rest of the video. And up 2 frets to the G for the 3rd beat. And 2 more bars down on the opening riff. So let me play it through a little bit slower. So you can see the basic chords underlying that is D, 2, 3, A, 2, 3, F, 2, G, D, and another D. Okay, 1, 2, 3, A, 2, 3, F, 2, G, 2, D, 2, 3, D, 2, 3. But of course, embellished with all these hammer-on pull-offs. By the way, notice how the embellishments are differently timed. The first one is relatively slow, 1 and 2 and a 3 and. In the vamp early on, before the violin part, it kind of comes off that the F bar there. But in the violin section with the sequence, he stays there, sliding up to there. So the count there, and it takes a while to actually get this right, I found. 1 and 2 and a 3 and 1 and 2. And then and that's all on one beat. Straight to the F. You can even think of it as maybe as a pull-off like that. Multiple string pull-off. Depends how much you can get into that one beat, I suppose. I'll say that's twice. And then for a while he carries on with vamping behind the violin, improvising. And at some sort of cue, they go back to the sequence. And from there, it goes into 4/4 time to the F chord, up to the G chord, and then it goes into a vamp on 2 chords. This D minor chord, which I'll come back to, is very interesting. D minor chord alternating with the full bar G. Okay. Alright, so that's open 6, 8th fret on the 5th string, open 4th, 7th fret on the 3rd string, and open 2nd and 1st. D minor chord, going to that G. Okay. That goes round and round a few times, and then this particular version, this short video version, that leads into a little couple of bars linking phrase to take you back to the beginning. I'll talk about that in a second. First of all, I want to come back to these, talk a bit more about these 2 chords here, because in other versions of the tune, I think in the studio version, also in some other live versions, these chords are expanded into a picking pattern that he first used on Tell Me What Is True Love on Rosemary Lane, which comes from a Villa-Lobos piece, and this right hand pattern, I'm going to get rid of my thumb pick for now. He didn't obviously, but I find this a bit easier to show you how it works. And the picking pattern is, it alternates 2 strings all the way across and back. So in terms of string order, and I'll use the first chord just to demonstrate, and I'm going to use thumb and 1 finger. The correct classical method is thumb and 3 fingers, which is probably how Bert used it, but I find it easier to use thumb and 1 finger just to demonstrate to you, at least for the moment, how it works. So the string order is 6/4, 5/3, 4/2, 3/1, and then 2/1, 3/1, 4/2, 5/3. So that takes up 4 beats in semiquavers or 16th notes. Okay, so it's relatively easy to do with thumb and 1 finger. If I just demonstrate the classical technique for you, now I'm not great at this, but this is it. You want to kind of do it properly, all right? So thumb index, thumb middle. Remember, these 3 fingers have got their own strings. Thumb middle, index ring, middle ring, index ring, thumb middle, thumb index, Okay, in terms of PIMA, if I can do it that way, PI, PM, IA, MA, IA, PM, PI, and back to PI. So he does that on both chords, alternating. Okay, this is at a later stage in other versions of the tune. And then, in fact, the section of the tune where he does this actually begins with the G. He vamps on this chord for a while, but then the actual melody, and the violin has a melody here, starts on the G. Okay, 2 of those, and then it goes to an F chord down to here, back to the D minor, F again, D minor, and then we go down to this chord here, which is a kind of A sus or a kind of E minor, something like that, but second fret on the 6th and 4th strings, and again the same right hand pattern. Back to, we'll do that again, that wasn't quite correct. Alright, that's the basic shape of that section further on in the tune. In these other versions, he doesn't do it on the video version. Okay, so that's, as I say, where there's those chords he just strums to begin with start to become interesting in terms of what you can do with the right hand there. Alright, so in the video one, and in fact all the versions, how he gets from the last... Okay, sorry about that, I had to answer a phone call. Right, so the little linking passage that takes you back to the opening theme, and this happens in every version from wherever he ends up. It's a little 2-bar thing coming down. In fact, it does start from these chords here. So those will be the final chords that you're talking about, whichever version you're playing. And the little linking passage is this, and it's all semiquavers with a syncopated bass line. So if I'm just trying to do it a bit more slowly. Okay, let me try that again. I'll try and play nice and steady and nice and slow. Okay, let me try and count the beats there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Right, that takes you back to. Okay, and in the shorter versions of this tune, he just finishes with the part I covered on lesson 1. So really just the main theme, the main, I think 12 bars or so it is. So at the end, and it's on the live version, how he finishes the live version, he gets to the bit that does this. Gets to there, and then he harmonics on 12, on 7, and finally just a nice strum on the D power chord. Pretty straightforward. Right. Just that. That really completes the abridged version of Avocet. Less than 6 minutes in the video version. So a third the length of the album version. Mainly because he misses bits out, plays it faster. But that's it really. Plays it faster and misses some chunks out. I will do talk a bit more in a further lesson about the other parts of the longer versions. There's some very nice melodic stuff that occurs later on in the full version of the tune. But that will do for now, I think, for this section. Okay, thanks for watching, and good luck with all that. And like I say, I'll try and put together something on the other parts of the longer versions.